The Seattle Seahawks just made a massive move, freeing up over $27 million in cap space, and now give them the chance to go out and kind of make this team exactly the way Mike Macdonald wants it to be. They're releasing offensive tackle George Fant, safety Rayshon Jenkins, defensive tackle Draymond Jones, and another defensive lineman in Roy Robertson Harris. You could probably expect some more names to be either released or restructured of their contracts. And honestly, this says what? I would still expect news on Tyler Lockett later this week, and maybe even Geno Smith, which would be very, very interesting. But what I wanted to do in this video, guys, was break down exactly what Mike Macdonald wants to do and what Seattle needs to do with this money. And the first thing that you need to do as the Seattle Seahawks is improve this offensive line. I mean, let's just be honest. The offensive line was terrible. There's a guy out there, Tevin Jenkins, a former Chicago Bear player who has been honestly consistent. Look at these grades. According to PFF, a 75.4 this year, a 72.6, an 80.7 back in 2022. Always ranking within the top 15 of guards every single year. If you can add a guy like this alongside a guy like Charles Cross, that could be huge. The center position, they didn't really have much to build on last year. The guard position wasn't good at all. Anthony Bradford ranked 72nd out of 77 guards. Tevin Jenkins would be a massive upgrade for the Seattle Seahawks. And opening up that cap space alone is a major news. Now, this is probably a little bit more of a better fit in my opinion. It's a little bit, an older guy, right, compared to a 27-year-old Tevin Jenkins, maybe a Kevin Zeitler, who is 35 years old, but has consistently been a top 5, maybe the top 7 guard in the NFL. This year was number 3, 2022 was number 7, and then 2023 was 15th. But again, you're getting a guy who is one of the best run blockers in football. Yes, he is 34 years old, but that means you can get him for dirt cheap, $6.2 million per season for maybe 1, maybe 2 years. That would be an absolute steal. Maybe some would call it highway robbery. From there, you got a guy like James Daniels, who is coming off a really good year, did get injured, but again, another cheap option, 27 years old, coming off a torn Achilles. Do you want to take that risk? Honestly, if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, yeah, I would. I mean, he had a great grade from what he played. He was really good, only did play 209 snaps, but was dynamic. You have Mekhi Becton, who's probably going to cost a little bit more money. Wants about 10 years, on average, 10 mil per year on average. Had a good year with the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles. He's an option I wouldn't mind. And then from there, you got Brandon Sheriff, who didn't have the best year of his career, but again, I think would be an upgrade for what they had. Patrick McCarry has been cool, had a bad year this year with the Ravens. But there's a lot of guys here that the Seahawks can immediately get better. Even if you add a guy like Will Hernandez in free agency, who again is coming off a season-ending knee injury, you can get him cheap. He's younger, 29, 30 years old, and been consistent top 30 type of offensive lineman throughout his career thus far. Now, real quickly, before we deep dive any further into this video, guys, do me a big favor, hit the like button, and comment down below who are some free agents that you think the Seahawks need to go after, 1, and then 2, who is one player that you are really impressed with during the season, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. It is free, it doesn't cost anything, and we will be breaking down the Seahawks throughout the entirety of the offseason, which means whoever they sign in free agency, film analysis, whoever they draft in the NFL draft, film analysis, and whoever they trade for, we got you guys with some film analysis. So make sure you guys join the family if you haven't already done so. Now, with that being said, let's kind of get back into the video. I want to talk a couple of more things about some guys that they need, and I think one position group of need is most likely going to be this defensive line edge rusher. Yes, you have Derek Hall, you have Boye Mafe, but losing Draymond Jones obviously didn't have the best year. I mean, he was pretty good rushing the quarterback, but in terms of stopping the run, he wasn't great at all. But there are some really good fits out there that could come in and be some great edge rushers. Let's look at those. So first of all, again, if you wanted to get someone who's a little bit older, Khalil Mack's here. I probably wouldn't give him a two-year, $45 million deal. Probably would not do that. But Josh Sweat is available. Another guy who just won the Super Bowl, was really good in the Super Bowl, has some capabilities in, both getting to the quarterback, and honestly, stopping the run wasn't terrible at the same time. You have Hassan Reddick, who, let's just be honest, has not been great, but 2023, 2022 was a premier edge rusher in the NFL, and I feel like he would fit what they're trying to do here in that 3-4 type of defense under Mike Macdonald. Malcolm Koonce coming off an injury. This dude, I think, is going to be one of the best, not one of the best, but a top edge rusher next season if he can get fully healthy. He's very similar to a guy like Uchenna Nwosu, and I think this just would make, perfect sense for the Seattle Seahawks. If they're able to get him on this type of deal, I think that would also be a steal. You can look at Dre Greenlaw, who's more of just a linebacker. He's also coming off an injury, but these are where you can get your steals, right? I know we're talking about a lot of guys coming off injuries, but these are the guys that you can get for dirt cheap, 1 year, $6 million, prove it type of deal, and then they come in and actually are amazing. I mean, this dude has been a top 25 linebacker throughout the last 2 seasons and looked like he was going to have another one in 2024 before, having another big-time setback with that Achilles. That was terrible. Zach Bond's probably going to ask for a lot of money. But again, now you can kind of afford it. Do you want to go get Zach Bond? Probably not. Maybe a little bit too much money. But obviously, there are positions out here that Seattle desperately needs, and now that they free up about $34 million in total cap space, with most likely some more moves coming soon, they could have upwards of $40 million of cap space. Who do you think the Seattle Seahawks should go get next? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, I just wanted to give a quick little update about where they are with that move, and honestly, it's a pretty big move, man. The Seahawks are doing the right things. I think they really want to build this team around Mike Macdonald and make the moves and build his roster the way he wants to. So George Fant, Roy Robertson Harris, Rayshawn Jenkins, Draymond Jones, those guys are going to be fine. And, at the end of the day, it's not totally out of the realm of possibility that they end up back in Seattle for a much lesser price. That is something that could happen. So if any of those guys, you're like, no, I don't want to lose them, just know there is a possibility that those guys could come back. But ultimately, I do really like what they're doing, and I think Mike Macdonald wants to really build the roster the way he wanted it, and I think that's going to start to happen. So guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, join the family, turn on post notifications. I'll see you guys in the next one. And for me, I think the biggest need right now has got to be the offensive line. If you can fix that offensive line, you can fix this team, and once you fix this team, I think this is a playoff team, honestly. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.